if you take away one thing from today, please, 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 stop using the word retirement. Stop it. Please stop it, because the moment you use the word retirement, it assumes that you've reached the end of your useful life. And it's not surprising that people who see themselves as being in retirement, they die very quickly thereafter. And die in more ways than one. Some die physically, some become completely irrelevant, some just atrophy. It's just there, they have no use. Retirement was a concept that came out of the industrial world, factories, you work for a long time, then you leave. But part of the big problem, and Rotarian President, this is why I want to explain why I refused to give you my CV, and now I insist I do not want to be introduced by what I do. I want to be introduced by who I am, and who I am only amounts to my names. Many of you are so obsessed with what you do and the titles of what you do that you lose yourselves in them and your work begins to describe who you are. So when your work ends, it's as if you've actually died and you lose complete direction. You no longer know what to do without the work that defined your life. So for many of you, I would like to challenge you. One of the ways in which you prepare for life after formal employment is, can you stop defining yourself by the job that you do? There are people who arrive and then they write notes. I am here, former area MP. Who cares? So what if you're a former waiter at Kavira Club? No one cares. The only thing that matters to us is you. Who you are and how we relate to you, and who you can be. And who you can be will always be there until you die. So please stop this business of retirement and stop defining your lives on the basis of work that you do. Don't fuse your identity, your personal identity, with the work that you do. They're two completely different things. There's a difference between, you heard them calling me headmaster. I'll explain that story. The difference between me as headmaster and me as Kabushenga. Totally different things. Anybody can be headmaster, but there is only one Robert Kabushenga. Okay, there's three of us from the same family. We're completely different individuals. So, therefore, one of the problems of doing that, and it's a common practice of people who leave formal employment, is as soon as they leave, because they have nothing prepared, they cannot do without their past definitions. They never leave their past glories. Half the time, they're talking about what they used to be in the past. You know, when I was the MP, or when I was... That's in the past. Why are you living in it? And because of that, there is another mistake that I think people make, and I'm learning these things as I go along, is the tendency to remain, or to try and remain in the same circles that you are in when you still used to be employed. So when they chase you away from your job, you keep trying to go back to meet your former colleagues and try and keep that alive. Why? That has ended. Move on to the next thing. What are you still doing there? Because you want to be admired and people praise you. Hey, you know, when you were here, things used to be very good. No, they didn't used to be very good. People are just humoring you, but because your ego is invested in it, you're obsessed with that staying in the past. When it ends, go. And I also nearly forgot to tell you this. By the way, you can be sure of one thing. The end will come. One way or the other. Don't pretend that you will be here forever. No, no, no. Either you will die, in which case you should prepare for it. Because you're going to die anyway. None of us is living here alive. We're all going to die. And then you can figure out where you'll end up. But you'll die. So there is a guaranteed end. So the question is, how do you deal with the end? And that end, how you deal with it, you start practicing how you deal with all sorts of ends that come and move you on to the next thing. So, I invite you to think about the end of one phase of your life as the opportunity to begin another phase of your life. One in which you can grow to levels that are completely unimaginable, that you'd never ever thought of, or you never thought would be possible.